Welcome, friends, to week 3. This is Monday. We are studying Python. Love it. Today's June 21st, 2021, and we've got a doozy today. There's going to be a ton of stuff that we go through, a ton of stuff that we build together. Sometimes instructors like to, kind of have you guys dive into Django on your own. I'm a person that I really enjoy to do it with you because I feel like it's just a greater understanding. All are well, all are correct. But that means that today is going to be a longer day. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. A couple of housekeepings. I want to welcome my friend Aaron, who is here. He is going to be shadowing me. He's one of our new instructors. He's just going to be shadowing. He's going to be helping out. He's going to be running office hours and, breakout sessions, anything like that. So I just want you guys to, I just want to let Aaron welcome or introduce himself. So Aaron, do you want to just maybe say hello and where you're from?
Hey everybody, I'm from Georgia. Just graduated the dojo earlier this year. Spent some time TAing and transitioning over here as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so he is awesome. So now you guys have a dream team with myself, Mel, who we all know is incredible, and Aaron himself as well. So we are really excited. If you have any questions, Mel and Aaron are going to be in the chat as well, just kind of monitoring anything that you guys have, but make sure that you say hello. And, if you have any questions, he is awesome and can help you. Cool. Now, and he's also a East Coast person. So, there that is. I don't know how that helps, but it does. Cool. Discussion posts, just want to remind you, as always, I'm always going to tell you this. You have 2 discussion posts due this week. I sent you a This Week in Python email that notes the discussion posts. Make sure you do 2 out of the 3. You guys have been doing incredible. Way to go. There's only a couple people who are falling behind on discussion posts, but I just want to say, incredible job. We are the most consistent group in the entire part-time program. So way to go. Give yourselves a hand. You guys are making me look really good. So way to go to do what you're supposed to do. Great job on that. Just make sure you do your discussion posts. They're open now. So at the end of lecture today, I'd encourage you go do 2, finish them now. They might take 5, 10 minutes max. Go do them today. You don't have to worry about it. They're open till Sunday. Assignments, for your assignments this week, you do only have 2. Now, I know I said that last time, but this one is true. You only have 2 assignments. It is time display and dojo survey revisited. Those are the 2 that are this week. That being said, there are some assignments here that I would say are big hitters and I really want to talk about. There's one assignment that's a big hitter, and I would, if I could make this a core assignment, we joked about as a staff that this should be the only core assignment. It is hard, but it is so good for your understanding. Looking here, it is this one called Ninja Gold. Ninja Gold is a legendary assignment here at Coding Dojo. It will take you a while, right? So make sure before you do that, make sure you do get your 2 core done. That is time display and dojo survey revisited. But I would encourage you, if I could make it necessary, I would do Ninja Gold. Random word generator is cool. You're just using the .random feature. That's pretty cool. It's a good thing to know. Definitely read through it. Do Ninja Gold. It will make you hate Python, but when you are done, you will have such a better understanding of session and a better understanding of transferring, data persistently from one place to another. So I would really encourage you to do Ninja Gold, but I can't make you do it because it's not a core assignment. So your 2 core are display, time display and dojo survey revisited. Make sure you do those by the end of Sunday. End of day Sunday, you need to have those 2 done. Now, here I have got this thing called Academic Improvement Blunder. A handful of you guys got an email today saying that you are on an academic improvement plan because you are below the required amount for assignments. The reason that is because in my, one of the reasons why is you don't watch the lectures. So, hey, maybe watch lectures, but most importantly, I, on Monday, just said that these were your 2 core assignments, which caused a lot of confusion. And if you guys were in lecture on Wednesday, you were with me when you saw that I discovered that this was also a core assignment, this Dojos and Ninjas. I went ahead and updated this entire thing for us. So that way, it's much easier to read. I added the weeks, so it's separated that way. There's no more weird, just gray boxes. But if you did receive that plan and it's because you didn't do this Dojos and Ninjas, I've talked to with our administration. They've extended it to next week. So just go ahead and do that this next week because I messed up and only told you that there was 2 when you really had 3. So make sure you do this one. If you haven't done this one, again, you don't need MySQL. You just need to download or do a whiteboard or just do something like we did on Wednesday. Draw out the relationships. That's all you have to do. But make sure you get this Dojos and Ninjas done by the end of the week. So if you didn't do Dojos and Ninjas, you have 3 core assignments: Dojos and Ninjas, Time Display, Dojo Survey Revisited. If you did do that, if you were here or you just checked this guy and you went ahead and did that, then you just have Time Display and Dojo Survey Revisited. Any questions on our housekeeping material?
Just a quick question about MySQL.
Yeah.
So really, after this past week that we've been doing MySQL, are we going to be touching back on it at all
Nope.
in this module?
You will not. We're going to be using a SQLite database that comes with Django.
And that's why you said it wasn't necessary to install MySQL and all the assets.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole point of the MySQL section is to help you understand the relationships of MySQL. SQL in itself, SQL, is its entire language, as you can see in the second section of this. If we were to go back here, SQL, here's your relationships, all the different data types. But if you go to these queries, SQL queries are their own thing. Companies will hire, a C# and SQL developer where you have to do just SQL queries. If you work for a company like Snowflake, you're going to be doing SQL queries. But that is what you would, that is your job. If you're going into that, you will be doing a lot of queries, which is not necessarily necessary for what we're doing here. Like this is what a query would be, right? Django is going to write this for us. So it's not necessary now. Jordan asked, do you recommend doing books, blogs, or user dashboard? I would say that if you have time and you want to do that, that's awesome. That's great. My encouragement, though, is if I was going to work ahead, instead of doing these guys, I would jump into your Django stuff. There's a lot with Django. And so I would jump in. If you're going to do extra, I would definitely do Ninja Gold instead of doing books, blogs, or user dashboard. Absolutely do Ninja Gold. Also, I know that there was some confusion because user dashboard said core. I've changed that. It's not a core. Just always go by whatever this says. Whatever this says in this checklist, this academic checklist, this is what is king. So if this says it's core, it's core. If it says it's practice, this is practice. Yeah, definitely do Ninja Gold if you can. It is a great assignment. It is a struggle. It's a long assignment, but it'll be good. Cool. Any other questions on that stuff? Oh, let's just jump in. We are starting in Django today. We've got quite a bit to see. As you can see, we have quite a bit to do. So let's just jump in. And before I actually start typing and writing code, I thought it would be great to just kind of get a little very, very high level, not going to go in depth, high level aspect of what is Django. So Django is what we call a framework, right? It is a framework for Python. And you might be wondering, what is a framework versus a library? Well, I sent a wonderful article. Let me pull it up, actually. Let me pull it up over here. Sorry. I sent a wonderful article today when I sent you This Week in Python. And it talks about the difference in depth. It talks about the difference between frameworks. And there we go. The difference between a framework and a library. So I would encourage you guys to read this. It's quick. It's not that long. It just really kind of talks about the difference between a framework and a library. But you might be kind of confused. And this is why I wanted to go through that, because we've done something with jQuery, and now we're using something called Django as a framework. This one does Vue.js, but you can just think of that as like Django for JavaScript. Really, the highest level thing is is a framework controls the flow of your code, right? It dictates what your code does. It creates the step-by-step process and how your code is going to run. A library is basically a set of tools that you can access whenever you want. You dictate when you want to use them. In jQuery, when we wanted to use something like, we wanted to append and add an error, well, we did that when we wanted to do that. In Django, there is an entire process that happens, and we're going to see that when we actually build this out, an entire process that happens that Django dictates. When we say we're using Django, when we create a Django project, it dictates the flow of my code. My code will go from here on a request. It goes from here, checks here, then it goes to here, then it goes to here, then it goes to here, then it does something. Django controls that. It's an entire environment that Django controls. It has built-in stuff, built-in methods, built-in functions, just like a library does, right? It's in essence, it's other code that somebody else has written, but this code controls the flow of your program. It controls how your program runs, the step-by-step process, versus a library is just a set of tools that you can call whenever you want, right? You dictate how your codes run. Both are pros and cons. A library is typically more lightweight than a framework. Frameworks are great, though. It is a ton of code. You can do a million things with Django, but that's basically the difference between a library and a framework. So we're going to be using a framework here. John said, so a coloring book versus a blank pack of a page. Yeah, actually, that's a really great analogy. But I would say like a blank pack of a page that you can take out like stickers, right? To where I would say the other way. Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to think of another thing. But you can kind of think about it like a coloring book, I would say, but you would have access to pictures instead of just a blank page, right? Because you still have access to other code in a library, but a coloring book is a great idea because it is something that you, that would be like a sticker book and coloring book versus number of codes. Yes, I think that's a great idea. The number of codes thing, you can control the color, it has the certain numbers. Versus a sticker book, you can access somebody else's drawing, somebody else's stuff, and put them to make a canvas. I think that's the best way. A canvas with a sticker book versus like a coloring or paint by numbers thing, right? The paint by numbers is already built out for you, and it dictates where you go. And then a blank canvas with a sticker book, you can access somebody else's pictures, put that. That's a great example. Good job. So those are kind of that's the main difference between a framework and a library. And this will make more sense when we talk about Django and the process with Django here. Just remembering, when we call jQuery code, we can call it whenever we want, when it was on click. So, okay, I just want to call it when this one's clicked. Django, you'll see that it does have a process and how the code functionally operates and runs. So, but yeah, here's a great article. Again, this is in that email that I sent you that, said fun reading at the bottom of that. So it's a great little article for you to understand the difference between a framework and a library. Cool. Now, the other thing is we use Django 2.2. There are newer Djangos out there. The idea is, and why we've kind of stuck with 2.2 is A, because it works with what we're trying to accomplish and teach, and B, to show that although 2.2 is just kind of like the ES6 and ES5 thing, right, with JavaScript, although 2.2 is older, people still use that. In tech, you don't always use the most recent update because there's things called dependencies, right? And it could break code. So the reason we use 2.2 is because it is tried and true. We know the bugs. We know that our dependencies, like our bcrypt and everything that we're going to bring in there, we know that works with 2.2. These new ones, there are some issues occasionally. So that's why we stick with 2.2. One thing I would also note, there are so many things in Django, and we're going to get to a lot of them, but there's still a lot that I would encourage you to dive into at the end of this program. If we're looking at our weeks, we've got this week is we're really getting started. Next week, we're really diving into our database stuff and building out stuff for our database. Week 5 is really where we start hitting and bringing everything together. And then week 6 is the week of belt exam week. And so week 6 will probably be your busiest week. So just prepare yourself there. That will be your busiest week, no doubt. Semi-restful TV shows is an entire front-end application, or front and back-end, full-stack application. Login and registration is exactly what it sounds like. We're creating validations in the sense of, name must be so long, X, Y, Z. And then favorite books is going to be a great belt reviewer, but it is a full-stack application. So you're building 2 full-stack applications just in that week. And then you have your belt exam, which will be a full stack. You will have some front end stuff, you will have some back end stuff, and you will have a database in there. And then the next 2 weeks are really a time for people to make up some exam stuff. Maybe you don't pass the exam or you're not quite ready for week 1. You can take it week 7. And it's going to be a time that we can explore different aspects of Django, maybe Django admin or Django forms, what that looks like and how to do that. But there's a lot in Django. So I would encourage you, don't limit your understanding of Django to just this. There is a ton that you can do there. Cool. All right. Oops, I don't want to do that. Get behind me. Cool. Now, we are getting to the point where we need to start using our environments. We talked about it on like week 1. We talked about an environment. And if you can recall, I compared it to basically a hiking backpack, right? There are different types of hikes. There's hiking in the winter. There's hiking in the summer. There's hiking in the south. And there's hiking in the north, right? If I go hiking in the Cascades, I probably need bear spray, right? Because there's grizzlies out there and I could die, right? When I was hiking in New Mexico, I never worried about bears. Rattlesnakes, yeah, absolutely, but never bears. And so with these different backpacks, it helped me prepare for the different environments I was going to be in. In this case, we are creating and activating our environment. And now moving forward, you will be using an environment every single time you run your code. If you don't, your code's going to say, I don't know what this is. I don't know what all these Django things are. So let's prepare our environment and make sure that we are good. Cool. Now, if we're going to go back, let's go all the way back to our Python, and we're going to go back to our virtual environments. And if you remember, you were supposed to create a virtual environment. You could have named it Py3env. You could have named it something else, whatever you wanted. And so first, what we have to do is we have to navigate to wherever that is. Now, for me, I'm going to go like this so you guys can see. Is that big enough for you guys? I don't know where my chat's at.
Looks good to me.
Perfect. Cool. Sometimes it can be small, so I want to make sure. So I'm going to CD. Remember, CD is change directory into my desktop. Inside my desktop, I have an instruction underscore CD. And again, to auto finish, you just press tab. Inside there, I've got a June. And then if I say ls, I see that I have a my environments. Let's go into my environments. And it looks like I've got a Flask because I was working with some Flask stuff. And then I have a Py3env. Now, right here, you can see I don't have anything done. Not that base is my environment, but base is where I'm at. But you don't see that there's anything else. When I want to activate it, I will see Py3env on the left here. And the way that I activate my environment, just as a reminder, again, this is on our activating a virtual environment. I have a Mac, so I will do this source, the name of whatever my environment is called. If you didn't call it Py3env, that's totally fine, just whatever you called it. Django, I like calling it Django as well. And then I say bin/activate. So I say source Py3env /bin/, again, this is because I am a Mac user. Now, once I press enter, you see that this came on. I am now in my environment. If you want to do Windows or you do Git Bash or PowerShell, there are all the different ones. But I can now, remember I have access to pip. I can now see what is in here. It looks like I already installed Django 2.2. But if I wanted to install Django 2.2, I would say pip install Django == Now, if you just say Django, it is going to get you the most recent version of Django. And we've already talked about that's not what we want. So we say pip install Django equals 2.2. And it will do it. It says that I already have it, but you will basically, it'll go installed Django. So I'll give everybody a second, make sure that they download that. And when you get that, you should also get Django, SQL parse, and I think it's PyTZ or set tools, one of those two. Cool. Anybody have any issues with this? Great. So we've now activated our environment. We have Django installed. So now what do we want to do? Well, we actually need to create our first Django project. So if I'm coming here and I'm on the platform and I'm in my Django, I can go to this creating a Django project. Now, I need to first navigate to where I want this Django project to be. So if I come here, I know that I'm in my environments and I need to get out because I know that I have a week 3. So I'm going to CD into week 3. Okay. Now, if I look in week 3, I currently have daily agenda, main.py. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to CD. I'm just going to say first Django project. I'll move it later. Oh, I don't want to CD into that. So I want to mkdir. That's how you make a new directory. Or no. Sorry. I do want to go to CD week 3 because that's where I want my project to live. I don't know why I was freaking out right there. Okay, so I'm in the directory to where I want my project to live. Sorry about that, friends. I kind of had like a brain fart. It's like, what is happening? It's very hot in my office right now. LOL, need to die. Okay. So now that I've done that, this is the code I want to run. Now, obviously, where it says your project name here, you don't want to type your project name here. You want to actually type your project name. But notice that it does have this specific naming structure. Stick with that. I believe this is called snake case, which makes sense because it's Python. I think that's how I remember it. Snake case is Python. And the camel case is the JavaScript one. Cool. So now I'm where I want to be. I'm going to say Django admin space start project space, and then I'm going to say my project name. So I'm going to say week 3 demo. Now my computer is going to create, if I type ls, now not only do I have these other dumb things because I forgot to make a folder, but I have week 3 demo. Let's go in there and let's type ls. So it's actually coded out. All I typed was start project, but Django created, because I have it downloaded, it created this manage.py, wrote all this code for me. And then it created all of these different files, the settings.py, URLs, WSGI. Now we're really going to hit and mess with the settings and URLs, but I just wanted to show you that this is what is created when you say start project. It creates all of this stuff. So I'm actually going to get out of that because there's something else I need to do. So I've created project. Now that I've created that, we've CD'd in, and let's see what our project by default is created. Like what is created. So I can say Python. Now, if you are on a Mac, you can say Python 3. If you are on a Windows, you don't have to. You say run server. This is going to boot up a server, just a local server of your project. And you're going to see this migrations. We're going to deal with this on Wednesday, sorry. But this is what you want to see, starting development server at this. So there's 2 options I have. I can copy this, put it into my URL. That works just fine. That will work. What I can also do is I can also go here because my server is running. I check it. Yep. When you see quit server, Control C, that tells you that the server's running. Now I can say localhost 8000. And this was built for me. I didn't do any of this, but I get this sweet little image of it going back and forth, very Elon Musk-esque. But it says that the install works successfully. You're seeing this because the debug equals true. Here's a tutorial of a polling app if you want to create a poll. Django Documentation. This is a great place when you are struggling with Django. Django has great documentation. So this is how it's organized, the different aspects of Django. There's tons of documentation that you can look through when it comes to forms, admin, security, all kinds of stuff. But you can see what's really cool is all I typed was Django admin, start project, and a project name, and all this stuff was created for me. Cool. So now I've done that, I've installed, we've made our project. Now there's something we also have to add, which is our application. So it's built all this stuff, which is great. This is kind of the skeleton, the framework for our application. Now I actually need to build out my application. So what I will do, if I go to my Learn platform, we've already run server. That's great. Now I have to do Control C because I need my server to not run so I can do some more stuff. But if I look at this and it says, for every app we want to add to our project, we'll do the following. Now you can have multiple applications if you want, apps within your project. I would encourage you start with one. Start with one. We will eventually get to where we're at. We'll get to the point where I talk about, okay, what if we have multiple applications? Right now, just start with one. But what it asks us to do is we've CD'd into week 3 demo, and now we run this code. It's Python manage py start app, your app name here. So I'm going to say Python 3. Again, that is because I am a Apple. Start app. Now I say my app name. I personally, this is how I operate. You can do it. You don't have to. I just like to call it main. I always like to have the same name because I know it's consistency. It's not something I'm trying to confuse myself with. I'm creating one app within my Django project, this specific Django project. I like to call it main. You can call it whatever you want. Don't put numbers. Don't have spaces. Give it a word. I would keep it to one word, maybe a snake case of maybe 2 words. Don't make it super long. But I like to use main. So click that. Now, if I type ls, you can see that there's this main. Cool. Now let's open up our code and let's see what it gives us. Cool. So you can see that within this week 3, this is my entire project, this week 3 demo. It gives us 2 folders. First, my week 3 demo folder. Here's my database. It's already built in. Week 3 demo folder. Then it gives me my application. And my application, my app that was built, comes with all this stuff that's built in. Okay. So we've created our Django project. We've run the server. And we've created our app within our project. Are there any questions?
Are there specific reasons not to use, when you say numbers, do you mean like, if it's a word or a number? So if you say first as the word, does that count as a number?
No. Just don't put the actual integer number. You can do a string like first app, first underscore app. That's fine. Just don't put like one app here, something weird like that.
Yeah, got it.
Kind of the same way of like a HTML, right? We don't want to do numbers or special characters. We just want to do words because our computer can get confused.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Great question.
Can you go back and show me how you opened that week 3 demo project in your text editor?
Oh, yeah. So
because I have a bunch of different things on mine and I don't know which one to click on, to open it up into
yeah. So do you have a Windows?
my Visual Studio Code.
Do
I
you
have a Mac.
A Mac?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you'll have to do, so all you do is code space period, but if you have a Mac, you do Control Shift P or Command Shift P, and it will bring up this, right? It's going to bring up this search, and you can see I've already searched for it, but you'll just type code, and you'll click this shell command, install code, command, and path.
Okay.
So it's Command Shift P all at the same time in your VS Code. And then if you don't see this shell command, just type code, and then you should see this one right here. Let me know if you're good. Did it work?
Yeah.
So once you do this, it'll say shell command successfully installed in path. Then you're going to have to like restart your terminal, but you can just use this keyword code. Now, if you do space period, that means everything within this folder. You could say code manage.py and it'll bring up just that specific file if it has access on that level. So that's just like a built-in thing.
Got it.
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah,
man.
of course. Any other questions? Did Aaron ask, did you run? Oh. So I created the folder, but it didn't create that code like you said it would. Jordan, after this, I can walk through this with you. One thing I do want to really point out as well, and just because I really like you guys are my faves, is there's this thing here called a Django cheat sheet that I made for you. This walks because it can, at the beginning, be very tedious. So this is a cheat sheet to walk through every single piece of creating a Django project. Where you CD in the folder space you want it to be saved, run this in your command, obviously your project name. Then CD in your project you just called, do this, run your server, open VS Code, in VS Code. And this is what we're about to do here, but it's a breakdown. There's, I think, 12 steps. Yeah, it's 12 steps for how you can build your Django project. Feel free to use this all the time, right? Once you get used to it, you won't need it, but this is a great thing. Like, okay, I did step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay, great. Cool. But that is located here on our class thing in this Django cheat sheet. Any other questions on how we created this Django project? Stop. There we go. Cool. Now, we're looking at the platform. So we've created our project. We're crushing it. There's a couple things we have to do. Although my main app is within the same folder as my week 3 demo, I also have to have them communicate. What do I mean by that? Well, here it says in the text editor, this is really important as well. The project cannot have the same name as the app. The apps in the project cannot have the same name. So I could not have created an app called week 3 demo or whatever. So that is really important. Make sure you do not have them as the same thing because it will get confused. Okay. Glad we got that. Text editor. So in our VS Code, we're going to find the settings.py. And there's some things that we have to do now. First off, I have got to connect my project to my application that I created. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to click on the settings py located within my project folder, not URL, sorry. I'm going to scroll down to this installed apps. Now, these are all the things that are already installed. I need to make sure I add my app to it. Here, you just come, you say your name of your app. I just say main. And because I did it at the top, I have to make sure I put a comma. This says, okay, now also when you're checking everything you need to check, I want to give access to this app right here. So on this installed apps, you go and you write your app name. Now, if you were to write it here at the bottom, you wouldn't need the comma, but because I don't know why I like to write at the top, I do. It's there. Great. We've done that step. We've crushed it. Now, what we need to do is we need to talk about routing. So when if we kind of think back to HTML and CSS, very beginning, I think it's day one of the boot camp, we talk about a request and response cycle, right? Where my computer makes a request to the server for the application, and it gives a response, whether it's an HTML page or some sort of something, right? Same thing happens here. That process is the same. So when I say localhost 8000, that is me submitting a request. The way Django reads it is it goes here to this URLs. So URLs is, we talked about the flow of my project. This is the beginning of the flow. Every request comes here to this project file, project portion of our, or the urls.py of our project. And it checks to see if the request in the browser matches anything in this file. What do I mean by that? Well, what will happen here is it's going to first off say, let's say we had localhost 8000/admin. Once that happens, here, this is already built in for us because Django's admin is built in. If we said localhost, admin create, it will come, it will check this, it will find admin, and it will go check this file of our URLs. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. Right now, we just want it to match our main app, right? That's all we care about. Everything I need right now is going to be on my main, so I can actually just delete this. I'm just going to delete admin. You don't need it. Don't worry about it. You can delete all this stuff if you want. It can be confusing. There's a couple things I need to add. Well, first off, I need to add this include up here. From Django, URLs, import path, include. Says that right here. This now include is a built-in function of Django, but I have to bring it in order to use it. So here on this file, I'm bringing it in to give this specific file access to everything this include has. You might ask yourself, well, why is it not globally activated, right? Why can I not just call include anywhere? Well, it's kind of the same thing with a virtual environment. We want to control our environments, make sure that we have access to only what we need to have access to, and what we don't need to have access to, we don't need it, right? I don't need to be bogged down in checking every single thing. It can mess up some words, et cetera, et cetera. So we give access to this include. Sorry, my dog has epilepsy and is acting weird, so I was just making sure she wasn't about to seize. So we give access to this include. And then now here's what I am going to say. I'm actually just going to copy this. Is I'm going to say, okay, I want to create a path. Oh my God, why does it keep doing this? I want to create a path. And this is just a catch-all, right? This is like, I want to send everything here. And what am I going to do? I want to make sure that when basically a request is made, I first want you to check my apps.urls. So if I say here, I'm going to say include. This will make sense. If this is not making sense right now, this will make sense. I promise you. It's quite a bit of setup, but it will make sense. So I'm saying once a request is made, go check in my app called main, go check its urls.py. That's what this is saying. But if I look here, my app or my app main does not have a URLs.py, so I have to create that. So here I'm going to say URLs.py. It must be URLs.py. It cannot be URL. It cannot be these URLs. It has to be URLs.py. That is a keyword, so that way it works. Now, what I would suggest is just do this. Copy. You can build a user snippet if you want, but just go ahead and paste it in because it's going to act fundamentally the same way. There's just a couple things we now need to change. Because I'm now in my apps URLs, I don't need that include. That is only from our project side. So if I don't need that, don't need that. Perfect. Now, this is going to be our kind of home base, where anytime my user makes a request, this is going to be, you can kind of think about it like the FAA, right? It's like dictating where everybody goes, when, like how they're going to do it, everything like that. This URLs.py within my app is going to dictate basically the flow of my entire project. That is what this URLs.py is going to do. It will take in a request because here we told it, I always want you, no matter what, to check this main URLs. So it's going to take in all our requests. It's going to check it. And then really it's the sergeant, which says, okay, you go here, you go here, you go here. Perfect. Now, this is where we talk about routing. Now, a route is just like if I say google.com/ spreadsheets / D, blah, blah, blah. That's a specific route that will take me to my Google stack, right? Our class stack. That is a request. So somewhere Google has something that dictates where this route actually sends you. So that is what we're going to be doing here. I don't know why it keeps doing this. It makes me want to punch a baby. Not really, I would never harm a child. So the way we dictate where to go is through our URLs. Now, one of the main drivers in what we have is our views.py. This is going to be basically where most of your logic is going to be. When we get to models, some of it will be in our models, but most of it will be done within my views. This is where, okay, I've sent my user where you want me to go. Now, what do you want me to do? That's what views comes in. So naturally, my URLs and my views are going to be connected. Before that, what I actually have to do is I have to say from space period. This means on the same level as my URLs, that's what this dot means, from the same level, import views. In the same way we have to do that with include, I have got to give my URLs.py within my app access to my views file. Cool. This gives me access. So here in my views is where I'm going to create all of my methods that really run my application. If I want my user to see something, it's going to be from here. If I want to do some sort of logic in my database, it's going to be here. Everything kind of runs through my views. So let's go ahead and create our first one. I'm going to call it index. And all we're going to do is render what we call an HTTP response. HTTP response is basically, actually, I don't want to do, I just want to, yeah, let's do that. So in order, again, just like include, in order for me to access this HTTP response, I have to bring it in up top. Now this index takes in always your methods will take in a request. Because remember, my user's giving a request to some URL. This method is taking in that request and doing something. Here, I'm just going to say return HTTP response. I'm going to say hello world. What this is saying, do you remember how we had that rocket? Now we're saying, hey, when a user, let me get back to my code. When a user basically just says localhost 8000, that's what this empty is. This and this are the same thing, right? Localhost 8000 / or with nothing behind it. I need and want to show the text hello world. But in order for these two to connect, I gave it access, but I need to tell it, well, which method do I want you to go run? So here I say views dot. This views dot, I'm going to say index. So what is happening here? I know this is a lot, guys, but I promise it will make sense. My user is going to make a request. That request is going to come first through my URLs PY in my project. Then it's going to send it here. And it's going to say, okay, when you get nothing after localhost 8000, I want you to go into my views. Inside of my views, you will find a method called index. Do what it says. So my computer then goes, my application goes and says, okay, I found index, gives it the request. Hey, I have this request user wants to use to do whatever you say. Says, okay, well, go ahead and give my user back just an HTTP response that says hello world. So if I were to come here, I'm within my project and I say Python 3 manage.py run server. Cool. I have no issues, right? It says quit the server. That means my server's running. Now I can come here and I can say local host 8000 and I see hello world. That is the response that I give. I no longer see that rocket because I've changed it, right? I just want to show my user hello world. So let's break this down real fast. I went to Google and I said local host 8000. This is the same thing as saying this, right? Google will just take off that / if I need it. Once I press enter, because my server is running on localhost 8000, it takes this request for this specific URL, which is nothing. It takes it to this project because this is the one that the server's running on, right? It comes and it checks here and it says, oh, I need to go and I need to include the URLs PY from my main app. So it goes, okay, great. Runs over here, checks, oh, found my URLs PY. I have a request for you. It's got nothing after. Okay, well, if that's the case, go into my views, find the method called index and do what it says. So it goes, okay, great. That matches. Let's go into my views. Oh, I found index. Let's return HTTP response, hello world. It gives that, it says, okay, I take the request, here user, you now get an HTTP response called hello world. Any questions on this? This is a lot. I get it. This is the beginning and it will take some time. I promise you it'll take some time, but it will become second nature when it comes to routing. It will become second nature to you. Any questions?
Will, I had a question in chat.
Yeah.
There. When I add that / in my path, it just breaks. And when I take it out, it works perfect.
Right here.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, I need to save my project. Oh, because it's looking. Oh, because let's see. So this is a great, you will see a lot of Django errors, but Django is actually very good at giving you a breakdown. So basically what it's saying, this is a great thing to see, is saying the URL defined in week 3, demo URLs, Django tried these URL patterns in this order, /. The empty path didn't match anything. Let's see. Is that by default? Sorry, I can't remember what I did by code. So this.
Can you have your server running this whole time while you edit that? You don't have to stop it and start it again?
It will sometimes just break on its own. So it says your URL pattern blank has a root beginning with blank. Remove this slash as it's unnecessary. Okay. So there, maybe it is saying, oh, there's an actual slash. Let's see. So maybe those are very different. Okay. Now my server is still running. I check it. Okay. So I guess for some reason it's reading it as a slash. Usually that doesn't happen. So I'm not sure maybe why that's happening. So now we've seen, okay, if I do put a slash here, it is actually looking for a slash. So I'm curious, what if I say this? Okay, so I've saved it, right? My server's still running. Perfect. Now, if I say localhost this, it's going to say that it doesn't have anything. Is not found. Interesting. I'm wondering if it's because when Google sends a request, if there's not a slash, it just deletes it. And so you're looking for something to match specifically, and Google's deleting that. Okay.
You mean Chrome? Just
yeah, like Chrome in itself, like as it sends the request. That doesn't make sense because it's coming here. All right, because it's showing that that's what it is. So therefore, that should pass. I wonder
what if we tried in Safari?
There we go. So by default, this is the issue. So by default, it already has that slash. It sees them as synonymous, kind of like I was saying. So what it's actually looking for is it's saying here, it's saying after the localhost 8000 slash, what am I looking for? And we're saying another slash, another one, right? And so when I did a double slash, that is the localhost 8000, which is the default. And then this meets that condition of that extra slash. And so it meets it. So what we just learned is here, keep that empty. Because, and I should have caught that, because when we do another route, so let's say path, another one. You will not put a slash. I should have caught that here, because it already by default anticipates that. I don't know what that is. So I'm going to say views dot another. So what I can say, why? Yes. Oh, hell. Okay. So here, if I have views another and go to my views, I can create another route. I can create another method. Sorry, another that takes in a request. Not doing that. And what do we want to do? Let's say return HTTP response, another route. Now, normally you won't do an HTTP response. Like after today, you likely won't. It's just more of a, so you can understand routing. But you likely won't use HTTP response. It's just something that you can see, because obviously we don't want our user just to see this, right? We want to actually show, and we're going to show today, how do we do templates and stuff. So now if I say here, I'm going to say another route. My server's broken. Oh, you can see, I'm going to run my server. If I come here, oh, another one. So notice another route. It's saying, hey, I checked this empty one. That wasn't the case. I checked this. Another one is not the same as another route. So I had an issue. So I can say another one. And then here it says another route. Any questions so far? I know we've gone through quite a bit of stuff. Really hammered quite a bit.
Can you go back to your URLs real quick where you have another one?
So what happened is I made that request, localhost 8000 / another one. Again, it goes here. Says, oh, and it's going to send me to my main URLs PY. Comes here. It says, are you, it goes top to bottom. Are you another one? It's not, right? This does not match. So then it comes here and says, are you another one? Oh, you are. Okay, perfect. I have a request for you. And we say, okay, well, take your request, go into my views file, find the method called another, and do what it says. So it goes, okay, great. Are you the method another? Oh, you're not. Okay. Are you the method another? Oh, you are. Okay, great. Here's your request. It says, thank you for your request. Give this back to my user. What am I returning back to my user? An HTTP response called another route.
For the HTTP response, does that only, you can only put strings in?
I believe so. I don't think I could put a number 9, but like I said, you're not going, let's see.
So if I wanted to return an actual HTML file, it would be a different function, not HTTP.
Yeah, we're going to go through that in just a second. Yeah, we're, like I was saying, we won't ever do an HTTP response after right now. It's just so to show you routing. One thing I do want to point out is routing with parameters. So I can say that actually, let's do templates, and then we're going to do routing with parameters, and then we'll be done for the day. Because load static is pretty simple. Because it'll be easier to show you after I have an index.html or something like that. Cool. So another one. Awesome. Now, like we talked about, this doesn't necessarily make sense, right? I'm not going to, like, no actual website is going to return this. It's kind of lame. What do we want to do is we want to return our entire index or our entire HTML file, right? We can do that. So Django has a way that it specifically stores all of the HTML files. It's a way that Django itself knows, okay, here's where my HTML files are located. The way it does that is you create a folder within main called templates. It has to be templates. It cannot be a singular template, and it cannot have a capital T. Type it exactly how you see it right here. Must be templates. Within your templates, you can create your HTML files. So here I can say index.html. Perfect. And now my HTML file is here. If you guys can remember all the way back, you do your exclamation point, and then you say, okay, great. Here you go. Here is my index.html. I can say Django example, and I can say something. What the heck? Why is it saving all weird? Sorry, this is just formatted super weird, and I hate it. Ew, I hate this even more, actually. Okay. One thing I do want to note is if that exclamation point does not work for you, check down here and make sure it doesn't say Django HTML. For some reason, sometimes it says that for people, and that built-in like exclamation point's not going to work. The only way to change it, or you just click this and type HTML, not Django HTML, HTML, click it, and then it'll work. Make sure it says HTML there. But now, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind. I can do an H1 that says hello from and perfect. So if I say hello from an HTML file, this is my HTML file right here. Now, the way I want, let's say I want to do this. My user makes a request and I want them to go here. Well, I'm going to call it hello. I'm going to go to my URLs. I'm going to add a path called hello. Hello. And then what do I say here? What is it doing, Nathan?
Index H in your templates.
Yeah, what do I say here? When I say views.hello, what's happening?
It checks your views file for that hello.
Yeah, exactly. It reads this pathway, it goes into my views file, and it checks the method hello. Great job. So do I have a hello? No, I don't. So I have to go create one. So I say def hello. Now, remember, Django and Python in total is very dependent on the tabs. So every time you make a method, make sure that you have it tabbed correctly or else it's going to have an issue. Takes in a request. Now, if I want to not do HTTP response, I actually have access to this thing right here called render. So I can say return render. Now it always has to return, right? It can't just be like print or just render. It always has to return the render. And then for this, there's a couple things that happens. Not only I have to always do a request. Then I say, basically I'm sending my request to whatever HTML file I have. I called it index.html. So now when I type in hello, localhost / hello, it'll go to my URLs. It'll find hello. It'll come here. It will render my index.html. So let's go check that out. Run my server. Perfect. Come here. So that's another one. And I say hello. And you can see hello from an HTML file. So to walk back that, in order to use my HTML files, I have to first create within my application. I have to create this folder called templates. It has to be a folder. You can't just put your index.html. It has to be a folder because Django specifically is going to be looking at this folder. Within that folder, you can write all of your HTML, the same conventions, same naming conventions as your HTML. And then you can, so then you just do whatever your HTML is, and then you make sure that your views renders, gives the request to the HTML, and then it renders the specific HTML that you want to show. Any questions on this?
Yeah, so render, that function specifically looks in the templates file.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, that's why we don't have to call out templates dot whatever.
Nope. Yeah, because you're importing render and it's doing it for you. Yeah, but you make sure you do have to import render.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from the signaling side, like, because this should technically return a 200. Is that all done on the inbuilt server? We don't have to do any of that?
Nope. Yep. Django is awesome because it does a lot of stuff for you. See right there. I created a GET request, which we're going to talk about GET and POST request next week or on Wednesday. Then you can see here's your 200 right here. Is it all for you?
Wait, is that a SQL request? I'm confused.
No. No, that's just basically saying that it's like a networking thing. Like it's okay. It's good to go. Good request. No, SQL is, we won't get there for a while.
Okay, so is that a port that it's point 200? What is 200?
It's a HTTP response code.
Okay, like 404 or
yeah,
one of the,
yeah.
Got it.
Yep, generates that for you. Cool. One that I also want to really encourage, because I know that there's going to be some confusion here, is I want to, for the next 10, 15 minutes, we're going to do that. And we're going to try to go through routing with parameters. Yeah, we're going to try to go through that. But first off, I want to do the redirect because I think this one's pretty crucial to understanding how this works. So this redirect here. So we have render, we have HTTP response, and then we have one called redirect. Now you will use redirect and render all the time. Again, HTTP response you probably won't use after today. It's just more to show you what it is. But, or, you know, it can have some other things, right? If there's an issue, you can do like a try catch or whatever, like a kind of like John was saying, you can say like, hey, here's the issue. But right now, all we're going to do, or for this entire program, you're just going to do render and redirect. Now, render, as we saw, is for our HTML files. Redirect is a way that we can kind of control the flow, but basically tell Django, where do I want you to go next? So here, in the same spot that I have this import render, I'm also, and HTTP response, I'm going to say redirect. I have to bring it in. I have to have access to it within my views. Now, what I can say is let's do something fun. I'm going to say, this probably is another one. I'm going to create a method called redirected request that return redirect. Now, where I want to redirect, let's say complete redirect. Let me set this up and we can kind of walk through it in just a second. You can call it complete. Okay. So here, I'm just going to say, do this. Really want you to know how to do this because this is going to be wildly important. Okay. So here I've got two views, right? I have two methods within my view. One called redirected and one called complete. Now, obviously, what am I missing? In order to get access to these methods, what am I missing? How does my computer get access to these methods? What is my application?
Views.
I'm in my views.
Oh, I meant your URLs.
Yeah, my URLs, right? I don't have any sort of path that points to these specific methods. So I first want to do my redirected. So I'm going to say here, path redirected goes to views dot redirected. One thing I want to point out is this, as you can tell, this does not have to match this. Just so you know, it doesn't have to match that. But I think it's fine to do it. Like I like doing that, it makes more sense to me, but it doesn't have to match. You can see another one and another, those work the same. So then here in my views, I said to go to this URL. So complete redirect. So I need to make that. And then we're going to walk through exactly what's happening here. That goes to views, complete. Okay. So here in this current project, I've got a bunch of different paths. When my user says localhost 8000 redirected, / redirected, my computer will come here. My entire application, do the entire process. It'll come here. It'll find this path. It'll say, okay, go into my views, and I want you to go to redirected. And it says, okay, great. I have this request. Be redirected. Then it's going to find redirected. Gives the request. What we're going to say is now I want you to redirect, meaning don't give anything back to my user yet. I just want you to redirect and go somewhere else. The place I want you to go is this complete redirect. I want you to know that these are not the same. We are not saying go find the method complete redirect. That's not what we're saying. That's not how our application works. What we are saying is go back. I've now got this new path. I want you to take this information, or I want you I have this new path I want you to go before you go to my user. So my computer says, okay, great. Goes back to my URLs, finds that path and says, okay, I was supposed to go here. Now, what do you want me to do? And we say, well, I want you to go into my views and I want you to see complete. So it'll go into my views. It finds complete. And this one says, I want you to render, not index, but I wanted redirect.html. So when I say localhost 8000/redirected, it's going to come here. It's going to find redirected. It will go to my views because we told it to, and it'll find the method called redirected. Great. We come here, gives it the request. Then this method specifically says return redirect. Okay. So instead of going back to the user, I want you to go to complete redirect the URL. So it says, okay, great. It goes and finds complete redirect. What do you want me to do? Go into my views, find the method complete, and do whatever it says. Okay. I should show redirect.html. So let's run my server and see if it works. Everything saved? Oh man, my server is a king today, dude. It normally doesn't last this long. Localhost 8000. So if I say redirected, I don't know how to spell, but you can see that now I am currently at complete redirect. If I look at my terminal, you can see that I created a response. I created a request to redirect it, redirected, then created another request, if you will. It's not quite a request, but you can kind of think about it the same way. It redirected me to another URL, which then that is what shows my HTML. Any questions on redirected or redirect? While I fix this.
Hopefully this isn't
I'm sorry, Kevin?
Hopefully this isn't too stupid of a question, but why would you go through redirected if you're just going to wind up at that complete at the end anyway? Why wouldn't you just go straight to that?
Yeah, great question. So when we work with forms, which we're going to be doing on Wednesday, there's something really specific, and you will always redirect a form. Reason is because, and we're going to talk about this on Wednesday, but when we send information from a form, if my user presses refresh, it's going to resend that information. So you can kind of think about it. What if I'm buying something? Today's Prime Day on Amazon. What if I buy something on Prime and I accidentally press request, or I refresh my page? What's going to send that same request, right? Including my credit card information. It's going to submit a request for an order. So I'm going to do, if I do it 10 times, I'll have 10 different orders. This is a way to prevent that from happening. So if we're taking in information, we will always redirect and make sure that we don't get bad data for our database. Great question, though. Fully understand what you're saying.
So would you like call that redirect function on the submit button to like say, hey, we got your information, please log in, or just go validate your email?
Yeah. So basically what we'll do with our form is our form will basically, whenever we have a submit button or a button, and this is what we're talking about on Wednesday, but we'll put the pathway that we want to send this form information to, and it will be a URL. It'll take us to our views and whatever method we want to render or take some sort of our data, do whatever we want to do with our data. And then we're going to redirect to another one that maybe says a success page, right? So we're going to redirect to success if it works. If it doesn't, then we redirect them back and say, hey, your name cannot be one letter, or whatever. Yeah.
So what about doing a catch-all? Like I've gone to some pages, like I had bookmark and they don't exist anymore, and it like just sends you to, oops, this
Yeah.
page is gone.
Yeah, so you actually just would do something like this. So take this path. And I believe it's, Bennett, I know you were working with it. Is it URLs or URL? I think it's URLs.
It's UR, yeah, I think it's URLs
URLs.
too. I'll double check that.
So here, you would put this at the end, basically saying, if nothing matched any of these, well, then I want you to send it here. So then we'll come here, we'll create a def catch all, takes in a request.
And then like redirect that, either send that to an error page or redirect it back to your main page.
Yeah,
essentially.
you could do that. So you could either redirect or typically, but like what you said, for a better user experience, right? I'm going to return, render some sort of, catch .html. And then I'm going to come here and I will have a catch .html that says
CURL singular.
Singular. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Basically saying any other URL. Come here and it says, oops, page not found. So if I come here, right? So I've got this catch. Now, one thing that's really important, if I were to do this up at the top, it's just looking for any URL. So then it'll automatically do this. It'll automatically run catch all. So this is important to put at the very bottom. So make sure it goes through everything we have. And then we do our catch all. If I come here, run my server, and I go to, forgot my comma, run my server.
So in this case, we're using Python procedurally because we run through each and every line from the top.
One second, I got an error. Type error, got an unexpected URL. There's URL. Was that working for you? Django project.
Yeah, mine was working. Let me.
It was singular. Did you bring in anything at the top?
Go back. I can share my screen real quick. I'm sure you would recognize it way before I would.
Will you just yeah, go ahead real fast.
Okay.
I'll stop sharing. Nope, it'd be in your URL. That's what it's saying. Is it saying go to your create?
Okay.
Your view. Oh.
Oh yeah, I redirected it to the first
to
my first page.
Okay. Sorry, my dog was literally about to overheat and die. Very hot in my office. Okay, so this is the issue. Figured it out. Sorry.
Gotcha.
Now if I come
No
here,
problem.
thank you for that.
No problem.
Now if I come here and I type bears, it says oops, page not found, which actually is a great
Can you share
segue.
it again and
Yeah.
show me what that was?
Yeah, which I'm about to talk about. It's a great segue into what I was going to talk about called routing with parameters. So what I did is we're saying expect this URL. This is me saying that there's some sort of URL. And the way we do this is by doing these carets, meaning we don't know what kind of oh, I'm not sharing my screen. How embarrassing, friends. Wow, thanks for letting me know though. Okay, rewind it. So here I'm saying URL. Now, this is not a specific URL, right? I'm not going to say if they say /bears, if they say /party, if they say whatever. I'm not going to do every possible situation. I'm just saying expect some sort of URL. I don't know what it is, but expect it. The way to tell Django that is you do these carets right here, saying you're going to expect something that's not here. Great. When you get that, go to my views and go to my catch all. But when you use these carets, you also must give this information to your method. So here, the fix is I had to give it this URL. Now that doesn't affect my code or anything like that, but I have to give it my method. That's why it was saying that catch-all received an unexpected parameter or unexpected, some unexpected data, basically, is because anytime I do that, I have to give that to, anytime I use those carets, I have to give that to my actual method. Now, it might make more sense when I say this, hello slash name. So I can say, actually, I'm going to do up here because I'm doing an HTTP response already. What I can say is, okay, if there's a route called another one, slash, and then I just say some string. I don't know what it's going to say, whatever it is, but whatever is put there, I want you to think about that as create a variable called name. So, okay, if I go to my views, I have to go to another. Now, another not only expects the request, but it also respects the variable I just created. So now what I can do, which is really fun, is I can say, this is another one, hello, name, and call this exact data. So now if I say, okay, let's go to another one, some string, and then I use my F string, because remember, that's what I can do, or else I could have concatenated name. Just press the plus sign after that and press name. I would have done the same thing. But now what I can do is I can say, go here, it's still running, go here, and I can say another one, slash Will. And it says, this is another one. Hello, Will. So what I did is I gave my route a parameter. I said, I don't know what name you're going to get or what string you're going to get, but you are going to expect a string, str. When you get that, I want you to assign its value to this variable called name. But when you give that to your another method, you also have to hand it name. Maybe you're not going to use it, but you also have to hand it name. In this case, I did call, right? I can do whatever with name. If I wanted to do some sort of anything with name, I could. In this case, I just created an F string that said, this is another one, hello, name. I can do the same thing with an int. I can say hello. I guess another one would make more sense. But I can say hello slash. Now with an integer with a number, I just say int, saying I expect some sort of number. Again, I don't know what number it is. We'll call it num. Expect some sort of number. Don't know what it is, but it's going to be a number, but assign its value to this name num. So then it goes, and if I say, so then in my hello, I must have num. So it's the same word. So this word right here must be the same as whatever name you give right here. So then I can say, oh, this is a HTML. I can say print num. So when I do this hello request num, I'm going to print the number, but then it'll still take me to my index.html. Let's make sure my server's running. It is. So I can say hello 9. Hello from my HTML file. I come and I check here and it prints the number 9. So that is routing with parameters. What happened with the catch-all is that same thing. I said, I don't know what type of URL. I don't know what it's going to be. If I wanted to print out URL, I totally could. But I also had to give it to my catch-all here. I had to give it there in order for this to work. Does that make sense? And I'm done. That is, I'm officially done. We're at an hour and a half, so I want to make sure that I honor your time. I knew that today was going to be long, but we have gone through quite a bit of stuff. We went through what's happening, routing, redirects, adding templates. I can talk about static files on the next one. It's not a hard thing to talk about, but I want to go ahead and be done because I know we've gone through a lot today. And I want to get this recording up so you guys can walk through it. Any questions to where we're at?
Yeah, I had one quick question.
Yeah, hit me with it.
In the URLs, URL patterns, the paths, you have another one / and then caret string name, and then, hello / caret int. Do we need the carets in there to specify?
Yep.
That's okay.
Yeah, or else if I were to do this, it's going to look for the string.
Oh, okay. So they're almost like escape characters for those.
Yeah, it's going to say, oh, I don't know what this is, but don't look for like hello /int : num. It'll look for that specific string, int : num, right? So if I do this, I say come here. Well, first off, my hello doesn't need num, or else I'll have an issue. But it will be looking for, oops, wrong thing. It'll look for hello int name, like that. Oh, my. Or it'll look for that specific, like it will have an issue because it'll be looking for that. It has no way to kind of change compared to like if I'm looking for hello, right? That's just always got to be hello, right? It has to be there. This int num is going to be changing, whether it's 9 or 16 or whatever number it is. But if I do this here, it's going to just look for this value specifically only and nothing else. I'm curious why this didn't work. Num is not defined.
Okay, yeah. So the caret's basically just telling the compiler or whatever to ignore that as a string and treat it as the variable type that we're putting it in.
So you can see here, I just did int num, right? The issue was because I was trying to print in my view and it was saying I don't know what num is. That's why I was getting an error. But this is looking for the actual just specific value of int : num versus an actual number. Like if I were to say this, it doesn't know what that is, right? Because it's looking for this hard-coded int num.
Yeah.
This allows it to be, 9 or 16 or whatever it is. Whatever.
Okay. So why didn't that error out to your catch-all then?
Oh.
Is it because it's inside of hello? Like
no, because it should.
No, I think the colon is throwing it off because it was saying that num wasn't defined, so it's looking at it like a variable.
No, I know, but right here, if I say 9.
Oh, that one.
Why are you not working? Because it did just work when I did bear.
Right, but is it because it like doesn't closest match and it sees the hello and then stops? Like I don't know what the how it's comparing those.
I don't know because it says like I don't know. Yeah, so that
like do another slash after beats and then put a 2 or something and see if you get a 404 or the catch-all.
Yeah. But why would that? Yeah, I'm not sure. I wonder if I did this. Mess with our code here. Then it would take in another URL, right? So like if I come here and then I say, I don't think I can name those. Come here and then I do that. So that URL works for the singular, but you see that I did another one. I wonder what? What if I said, I love this class because I always love exploring with you guys because you guys ask really good questions. Look here, great. Nope. I will have to work on that and get back to you guys. I'm not sure why that's not working. So that usually is a, because that's just the name. URLs is just the name. It's not a keyword. I'll have to look at that. Any other questions? Oh, this is the wrong page.
I have a question on redirection.
Yeah.
So in your code, you have a redirect that takes you to a function, and then you also have a complete redirect.
So I only have one redirect.
Redirected, and then you have the complete, right?
Yeah.
Do you have to have that second complete function if you were just trying to redirect to a page or some content that already existed?
Nope. So what I would do, let's say I just created this just so I could, show that I redirected. Let's say I wanted to some sort of error issue, right? They're not logged in, so I don't want them to. What I can just say is redirect. Let's say I want to take them back to my index, just the very beginning. I can just say, okay, well, what path gets me here? In this case, I know it's hello. Well, right now it's just, we'll just say hello, right? Hello gets me there. So if I just want them to go back to the index, once they're done, I want them to go back. I would just say, go to hello. Now note that on a redirect, you do have to have the slash. That is important. Just on a redirect. But this is going to say, okay, go to, I just want you to redirect. I want to get here. So go into my URLs, find hello, finds hello, goes into my views, goes to hello. This is right here, and then it shows my index.html. So you don't have to create for a redirect. If you want to go back to something that's already created, you can absolutely do that.
But you wouldn't hard code that redirect to say like /index.html because then it wouldn't render. And plus it's just bad practice because then you got to change the function later.
Yeah, well, yeah, because yeah, I would say that'd be bad practice. Plus, it's also like, don't repeat yourself. So if I can just redirect back to there, it already does a method and it might have some sort of thing. So like when we get actually to storing stuff in a database, we're going to use something called context to be able to grab some data. So I want to make sure that I do that. And if I don't, then I'm going to have to redo that same code if I were to just show index.html, right, on my redirect. I would have to have all that code and go into my database, grab that data via context. So I'd have to add that onto my other method as well. And so we'd be repeating the same thing.
Are we going to get into like authentication and stuff for like a user portal?
Yep.
Or,
okay. Yes and no. So we are going to build authentication. We're going to build validations. And that's part of the login registration to where, okay, we're going to have an email in the database. We're going to go in, we're going to hash, whenever we first create a user, we're going to hash their password, put it in our database, and we're going to grab that hashed password, compare it to the hash password that our user is trying to give us. If those are the same with that, correlated with that specific email, then we will give them access to whatever they want to have access to. Basically is our login and registration. So we will in that regards, yeah.
Okay, I was just thinking like when you were talking about routing with parameters and returning a number, like you authenticate, you redirect to whatever their unique URL would be for their user portal.
Their
but
ID.
you have to have that validation,
Yeah.
so it would break if they weren't logged in.
Yeah, we will do that. Everything there. We're going to put them in session. So if they're logged in, then their information is going to be set in session by their ID number. And then from there, exactly. That's what this routing with parameters, we're going to be using IDs and a bunch of stuff like that. That's the idea that we're going to build up to. For sure. Any other questions? Well, all right, friends. Oh, is there one more? Sorry.
You can stop the recording. It's not really like too relevant. It's kind of going to be like for redirecting. So for redirecting, like say you're redirecting for an advertisement. So say it's a blog and you click to the next like page of the blog, you redirect to an ad and you want it to stay on the ad page for like 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
How would you do that?
That would likely be like an event listener. So that's like a full front end thing where you would have this showing for an event listener. It'll have some sort of countdown. And from there, once that's done, once that countdown's done,
it will trigger the redirect.
It'll redirect to another page. Yeah.
Cool.
Just an event listener. It'd be pretty simple to implement in JavaScript.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I will end the recording.